you filthy swines! Get in here, sit down. We're going to do this. We're going to read some news. I have a lot of nerdy enthusiasm for androids and for a lot of AI and stuff, so I'm aware that my biases may affect my judgment when it comes to some of these technologies. So being critical of androids and their uptake, this is only going to become a thing if there is a viable public market for these bodies. So how exactly will there become a market demand for what some people may think are creepy replacements of humanity? I don't know. But this article on TechCrunch, written by Kate Park. In Japan, the robot isn't coming for your job, it's filling the one nobody wants. So the question here is, if there is a market demand for something, then eventually somebody will find a way to fill that demand and make money. So if the technology is being fleshed out now, we're now going to, I expect, see industries become filled with these kinds of bodies based upon, I guess, work that people don't really want to do. What's the worst job you could possibly have? Maybe somebody working down in a sewer or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you might quite like to use a robot to go down there instead. I don't know. Let's just see what this article is about first before we get too far into our own speculation. Physical AI is emerging as one of the next major industrial battlegrounds, with Japan's push driven more by necessity than anything else. With workforces shrinking and pressure mounting to sustain productivity, companies are increasingly developing AI-powered robots across factories, warehouses, and critical infrastructure. Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry said in March 2026 that it aims to build a domestic physical AI sector and capture a 30% share of the global market by 2040. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. They're very crafty, those Japanesey people, aren't they? The country already holds a strong position in industrial robotics, with Japanese manufacturers accounting for about 70% of the global market in 2022, according to the ministry. Based on conversations with investors and industry executives, TechCrunch explored what's driving that shift, how Japan's approach differs from the US and China, and where value is likely to emerge as the technology matures. I think a lot of these technologies will become most fleshed out and useful if they are conjoined with some form of human telepresence operator. Just simply for the fact that if you're going to train these things to actually do a job, the best way of training an AI learning system to do it is by example. So diving in and saying we could use these robots for X, Y, Z, yes, but that will only get off the ground if you have human operators as well. I think it should be seen, in my opinion, as an amplification of what we're capable and not a replacement. That's my idea. Several factors are driving adoption in Japan, including cultural acceptance of robotics, labor shortages driven by demographic pressures, and deep industrial strength in mechatronics. That's a good word, isn't it? Mechatronics and hardware supply chains. Woven Capital Managing Director Ro Gupta told TechCrunch, physical AI is being brought as a continuity tool. How do you keep factories, warehouses, infrastructure, and service operations running with fewer people? Ogil Do, Global Brain General Partner, also said, from what I'm seeing, labor shortages are the primary driver. Japan's demographic crunch is accelerating. The population decline for a 14th straight year in 2024. Those of working age make up just 59.6% of the total, a share projected to shrink by nearly 15 million over the next 20 years. Dove pointed out, it's already reshaping how companies operate. The 2024 Reuters Nikkei survey found labor shortages are the main force pushing Japanese firms to adopt AI. The driver has shifted from simple efficiency to industrial survival. Cho Yamanaka, a principal of the Salesforce Ventures, said in an interview with TechCrunch, Japan faces a physical supply constraint where essential services cannot be sustained due to a lack of labor. Given the shrinking working age population, physical AI is a matter of national urgency to maintain industrial standards and social services. Japan is stepping up efforts to advance automation across manufacturing and logistics, according to Mujin CEO and co-founder of Isai Takino. The government has been promoting automation to address structural challenges such as labor shortages. Mujin, a Japanese company, has built software that lets industrial robots handle picking and logistic tasks autonomously. Mujian's approach centers on software, specifically robotics-controlled platforms that allow existing hardware to perform more autonomously and efficiently. Takino said, hardware strength, system risk, oh dear. Where Japan has historically excelled is in the physical building blocks of robotics. Whether that advantage translates into the AI era is a more open question. The country continues to demonstrate strength in core robotics components such as actuators, sensors, and control systems, according to Japan-based venture capitalists, while the US and China are moving more quickly to develop full-stack systems that integrate hardware, software, and data. Okay, so Japan is supplying components that the US and China are using to flesh out much larger systems. Okay. Japan's expertise in high-precision components, the critical physical interface between AI and the real world, is a strategic moat, Yamanaka said. Controlling this touchpoint provides a significant competitive advantage in the global supply chain. The current priority is to accelerate system-level optimization by integrating AI models deeply within this hardware. Hardware capabilities are strongest in China and Japan, with Japan particularly strong in robot motion control, while the US leads in the service layer and market development. Takino said, historically, many US companies have leveraged their software strength to build integrated businesses similar to Apple, pairing strong software platforms with high-quality hardware sourced from Asia. However, this model may not translate to the emerging world of physical AI. Takino said, in robotics, and especially in physical AI, it is critical to have a deep understanding of the physical characteristics of hardware. Takino said, this requires not only software capabilities but also highly specialized control technologies, which take significant time to develop and involve high costs of failure. Will, a Tokyo and San Francisco-based startup that makes autonomous personal mobility vehicles, is drawing on Japan's monozukuri, or craftsmanship, heritage, as it takes a broader full-stack approach to global expansion. CEO Satoshi Sugi told TechCrunch, the company has developed an integrated platform combining electric vehicles, onboard sensors, navigation systems, and cloud-based fleet management for short-distance and autonomous transport. The company is leveraging both Japan and the US for development, using Japan to refine hardware and address aging population needs, and the US to accelerate software development and test large-scale commercial models, Sugi noted. Interestingly, this article is only tangentially related to what I thought it was going to be about, which is applications for AI, but this is the competitive market for supplying the demand for the companies that are building these things. So it is a business to business, not a business to end user issue. The government is putting money behind the push. Under Prime Minister Sane Takeichi, Japan has committed about $6.3 billion to strengthen core AI capabilities, advance robotics integration, and support industrial development. The shift from experimentation to real deployment is already underway. Industrial automation remains the most advanced segment, with Japan installing tens of thousands of robots each year, particularly in the automotive sector. So by that, we're talking about the equivalent of Waymo, driverless cabs and such. Newer applications are also beginning to gain traction, Doe said. The signal is simple. Customer-paid deployments rather than vendor-funded trials. Reliable operation across full shifts and measurable performance metrics such as uptime, human intervention rates, and productivity impact, Doe said. In logistics, companies are deploying automated forklifts and warehouse systems, while in facilities management, inspection robots are being used in data centers and industrial sites. Companies like SoftBank are already applying physical AI in practice, combining vision language models with real-time control systems to enable robots to interpret environments and execute complex tasks autonomously. In defense, where autonomous systems are becoming foundational, competitiveness will depend not just on platforms but on operational intelligence powered by physical AI. Terra Drone CEO Tora Takushig told TechCrunch. Takushig added that by combining operational data with AI, Terra Drone is working to enable autonomous systems to function reliably in real-world environments and support the advancement of Japan's defense infrastructure. Investment is shifting beyond hardware, with companies allocating more capital to orchestrating software, digital twins, simulation tools, and integration platforms, according to investors and industry sources. What the heck is a digital twin? That sounds creepy. The rise of hybrid ecosystems. Japan's physical AI ecosystem is also evolving in ways that differ from traditional tech disruption models. Rather than a winner-take-all dynamic, industry participants expect a hybrid model with established companies providing scale and reliability, while startups drive innovation in software and system design. Large incumbents, including Tokyo Motor Corporation, Mitsubishi Electric, and Honda Motor, retain significant advantages in manufacturing scale, customer relationships, and deployment capabilities, but startups are carving out critical roles in emerging areas such as orchestration software, perception systems, and workflow automation. The relationship between startups and established corporations is a mutually complementary ecosystem. Yamanaka said, "Robotics requires heavy hardware development, deep operational know-how, and significant capital expenditure. By fusing the vast assets and domain expertise of major corporations with the disruptive innovation of startups, the industry can strengthen its collective global competitiveness." Japan's defense ecosystem is also shifting away from dominance by large corporations towards greater collaboration with startups, the Terra Drone CEO said. Large companies remain focused on platforms, scale, and integration, while startups are driving development in smaller systems, software, and operations, with speed and adaptability becoming key competitive factors. Companies like Mujin are developing platforms that sit above hardware, enabling multi-vendor automation and faster deployment across industries. Others, including Terra Drone, are applying similar approaches to autonomous systems, combining AI and operational data to support real-world applications at scale. The most defensible value will sit with whoever owns deployment, integration, and continuous improvement, Dope said. Well, that was a lot drier than I thought it would be, but it's also interesting that Japan seems to be positioning itself as a manufacturer of components that other nations are building their robotic systems with, as opposed to the ones who are showboating with the final products, which we're seeing with the likes of Tesla. And I see there are competitors in China that have some very impressive androids as well. So yeah, there's an industry there and a differentiation in the way that these nations are positioning themselves in this growing market. I thought this article would be more about the kinds of roles that will be filled by robotics. In fact, the title suggests that. Does this title not suggest that this article is talking about the jobs that it will fill? In Japan, the robotics isn't coming for your job, it's filling the one nobody wants. Yeah, see, that's, I guess so. As the manufacturer of the components that other corporations are using, I suppose they are filling that market. But yeah, not exactly a bait and switch there, but an interesting article nevertheless. But that is it for now. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you also subscribe. But that is it for now. And the only thing I have left to say is, Pigwig, out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oink, oink, wee, squeal, snort, snort, oinkity, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Snort, snuffle, oink, squee, squeal, wee, snort, oinkity. Oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal. Snort, snuffle, oink, re, squeal, re, snort, oinky. Oinkity, oink, 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 snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, oink, oinkity, squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal, snort, snuffle, oink.